So the time has come to install LED lighting. From the exterior of the ship, I inserted pins and located the pinholes with these red marks. That allowed me to cut slits through the from the interior side, and I can allow light to pass into those slits and light up some of the surface details. So this long set of LED lighting makes about 4 loops all the way around. And so this is the first set installed and a test. So that's one set. There's going to be a total of 3. Thin strips of black tape are used to prevent excess lighting from coming through some of the joints. Various reflective methods are used for effects. Here I'm building the battery box. And this is the new rear engine array. I didn't have hot glue gun or epoxy in 1978, so Elmer's glue and masking tape is what was used. Now you see the I-beam repairs and the battery boxes in place. This time I am remembering to put a commemorative plaque beside. You can't read the names of the first 2 films because they are, as of this date, still unpublished works. We have completed all the internal lighting installation and all the reinforcing, the structural repair, the strengthening of the sag, and we're about to seal it all up. You can see 2 I-beams which I constructed out of very thin plywood. They're I-beam structural support for the sag to eliminate it. It's pretty good. Of course, we corrected this deficiency in the past and added a note to the future. So there are many loops of the LEDs. There's about 3 loops around here and maybe 3 or 4 here. And the LEDs go way down in, so that we will be able to light the edge, hopefully with fiber optics as we drill through, and a lot of these little simulated windows which are yellow. Interesting that this side had a lot of the windows and a little more of the detailing than this side, which has none of that. So that was again because this side, we could call it, I think I've heard the term hero, the hero side. This is where the hangar bay is. This section of the underside would come into play a little more, and that's why I spent a little time way back then detailing this side, but still not the degree of fine detailing as far as the inking, the penciling, the weathering as the top side. So there are 2 battery boxes in the center, which one of them marked E. Can't see the E, but there's an E up there, which is the M is the main, that's right, and the E is for engine. So this box controls these 2 engine arrays. Ironically, this box you would think controls the engine. It isn't. This is a 3rd battery box for a different set of lights, which is again perimeter lights all around. So these 2 boxes have remote controls like this. This one is going to be a switch. So there's going to be a door back here as well to access that switch. these two are accessed by these remotes. So you can see all the structural braces I put to eliminate the sag. You can see the engine array, specially built, and we're going to seal it up now, and that's the end of the internal restoration work. So the major bottom pieces are put back. We're going to have to do an incision here for that rear battery compartment, and I've pre-marked where, and we're going to have to construct something here. Now we do have that old piece of aircraft carrier bottom. I have just found the missing piece I've been looking for. I think might be a small scale P40 wing. Not sure. That is the missing piece. There's the telltale silver paint, and I recognize the silhouette of that. That is the missing piece. So a decision must be made whether or not to upgrade the bottom of this model so that it is in a consistent level of detailing as the top is. As explained, the top was given a full facelift in 1983 with a Saga of a crew film, and the bottom basically was not. So the bottom remains in a state for the second feature that it was used in, which is around 1980. And that is the level of detailing on the bottom, 1980. Interestingly enough, underneath this minimal amount of detailing is the 1978 detailing, which you can see here, where a part is missing. So I've been collecting parts all my life. I have some boxes out in the garage. I don't do it quite as much anymore because it has such a volume of parts. But somewhere along this display or storage of this model, that piece fell off. And you can see that beneath this sort of detailing, originally was just this very simple corrugated and inked and pencil lines and maybe a few kit parts here and there. Well, lo and behold, I found the missing part. It's a wing section. I'm not sure what sort of aircraft. It might be a P40 wing, or not positive, but that's the missing part. So because I have such a good system of saving parts, I did locate that part. So the decision I've made, what level of detailing will I do? Well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to maintain the 1980 version that most of this is. Restore this missing part, and also this hatch, as explained, was just an afterthought to cover it. I'm going to detail this part, which was never treated to any kind of detailing, and bring it up to a similar style as this 1980 vintage. And then the other important thing I'd like to correct when we're able to in the spring with painting is to remove this overdone weathering effect. It was just a dark gray primer to make these features pop from a side view, which you may have seen in the Saga from crew film here and there. And so that's sort of, think of it as makeup, on-camera makeup for a model. Just this dark overspray. It really, if we're going to view this as a 1980s configuration with the paint, none of this heavy shadowing with the dark gray primer belongs there. In fact, you can see just how heavy it was by removing that. Again, here, I'm filming this in relatively low light so that this shows up. You can see this dark gray primer. Again, more of a makeup technique to make those features darker so that they'd show in the low light situations. Another area here. Another area here. So we're going to bring the whole paint level up consistent to, say, what you see in this area where there was no dark gray weathering done. This is the box where I keep the tiniest of parts, and many of these are vintage, old enough. They go back prior to this model was built, back to the 1960s. And here, lo and behold, here's a piece of that plastic bandage backing. And there are other pieces of it. In fact, that came out of a ship. I happen to know which ship it was. That was back in an engine nozzle, and it was illuminated from behind it. But you will see that material here, many places. Here, and so on. So the nice thing is, if I find a place where it's missing, I can restore it, because I also have larger pieces that I've found. Difficult aspect of this restoration is the reinforcement of the edges of the hull. I've been saving this for last because it means propping the ship up on end, and it involves adding glue fillets into all of these seams on the edge that have separated. And in here at the front, there is quite a structural separation, you can see. So this has to be dealt with. Very difficult. That would be a large quantity of hot glue melt injected in. And also, since the separation may not completely seal up, I'm going to have to make some very thin panels, because we don't want unwanted background LED light from the inside coming through all these open seams. Much of the paper panel details were these old shoe tags from a defunct company my brother used to work at. And to your amazement, you'll be very surprised to see that I still have a small quantity of these. I'll be taking advantage of our frigid weather here, continue this process of repairing edge work and adding fine detail panelings for some time until the weather's warm enough for me to take this outside and give it the finished painting. I hope you enjoyed it.